Good afternoon. Oh, you can do better. Good afternoon. Thanks. Makes me feel like I'm not up here by myself. I'm Amanda Clark, External Affairs Manager for Kentucky Power and Commissioner in the City of Ashland. First, I want to say thank you to SOAR for allowing me to come today and give a TenTalk, and I appreciate you sitting here and participating. As the External Affairs Manager for Kentucky Power, I am responsible for community outreach, local government affairs, and primarily economic development for the service territory. I'm not going to go into my whole big bio because I literally only have 9 minutes and 35 seconds to go, and I'm going to speed through this. Short version, I am a trained educator who stumbled into economic development, became an elected official, and I work for a utility. That utility allows me the opportunity to bring jobs and people to the best region in the greatest state in the nation, and I'm thankful for that opportunity. You may wonder why a utility would even be involved in economic development, and that is a very simple answer as well. It's simple math. There is a fixed cost to providing services. It's why we want population growth. There's a fixed cost to providing water or power or police or fire. And if you can spread that fixed cost over more people, then what happens to that cost per person? Goes down, right? So my job is to bring back some of the 16,000 customers that have been lost across Kentucky Power service territory in the last 15 years because of the decline of the coal industry and the steel industry in North and Southeast Kentucky. No pressure, right? So I'm going to talk to you today about industrial, I don't know where to point this. Anybody know? About industrial recruitment and why it's important and how you can be ready in your own community. Oh, I'm wasting time here clicking. There we go. Several components in industrial recruitment. 1, sites. 2, people. And the rest of them fit into those 2 categories, sites and people. So the first thing that you need to do to get your community ready for industrial recruitment is figure out what you have. What are the attributes of your workforce? What are the attributes of your educational system? What are the attributes of your sites? Do you have access to rail? Do you have access to massive amounts of power? Do you have access to a river? All of those things are important in industrial recruitment. And you need to have those conversations in your community to determine which sites you're going to market, what kind of companies you're going to go after to recruit. If your workforce tends to lean, like it does in Northeast Kentucky, towards manufacturing, towards making things, then obviously you're going to go look for manufacturers. We did a workforce study of Eastern Kentucky and found that the attributes of coal miners and steel workers lend themselves very, very well and transfer very well to aviation, aerospace, and advanced manufacturing, as well as automotive. So guess what kinds of companies we're looking for in North and Southeast Kentucky? Aviation, aerospace, advanced manufacturing, automotive, because we have the data that tells us that our workforce can support that. So you need to be having those conversations in your communities. What can your people support? What can you readily tell a company that's looking to locate in your community that you will be able to give them a workforce? Because workforce is a huge component of industrial recruitment right now. Outside of kind of our pocket of Eastern Kentucky, you're at near full employment. Here is not, that's not necessarily the case. And so the companies are looking to markets like ours because they've simply run out of space and people in other markets. So quantify those attributes. Be able to tell a company what is available where you are. Next slide there. and this is a very nice way of saying it, stay in your lane. All of us have a very specific role in industrial recruitment, in economic development. You may be sitting here and saying, I'm not an economic developer. I'm not an elected official. I don't have any part of this process. Guess what? You do. You have a very big part of the process. There are people in your community today that are looking at your community and making the decision about whether or not they could live there, whether or not they could convince other people in their company to live there, and you don't even know it. That decision could be made as simply as someone was very, very rude to me in a restaurant. And that seems silly, but it's not. We hear all the time from companies when they come for an official site visit that they were actually in town 2 weeks before. They spent the weekend going around the town, and they either liked it or didn't like it. And sometimes they didn't, and they don't come for the site visit. And so you don't know those things are going on. So as an everyday citizen, no matter what your role is, whether it is actually economic development, whether you're an elected official, whether you're an educator, whatever that happens to be, understand that you play a very important role in this process. And if you want to win, you need to make your community as marketable as possible, whatever that looks like in your community. Finally, know your dirt. And I put up there 3 times, site development, site development, site development. Programs like the Kentucky Product Development Initiative are imperative for our communities. The Kentucky Product Development Initiative allows our communities through the state to get their sites ready. A lot of the economic development process is removing risk for a company looking to locate their company. You need to know your sites, and on those sites, you need to know exactly what's in that dirt. You need to do all of the studies that tell you everything that's in the ground. You need to have a plan for how the power is going to get there. You don't have to build the power. You don't have to build the water. You don't have to have all of that ready yet. But you need to be able to put in front of a company, the plan is there, and here's the timeline. Because right now, we're seeing just a huge amount of projects that want to be building in a year. And sometimes we kind of look at them and say, that's actually impossible. But if we have a plan that says we can have you all of your infrastructure within 18 months, then that makes it a little more feasible. But those plans need to be in place. And you're going to lose if those plans are not in place, because they're going to go to the next community who has all of that ready to go. You've heard, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I heard it my whole life. And that is no different in industrial recruitment. Figure out your sites, prioritize those sites, know your people, know your workforce, know your educational system, and put it all together so that you can win a project in this period of what seems to be mass construction of projects all across the Commonwealth. So, thank you for coming to my TenTalk.